Hey, I'm just getting ready to start shipping out some of the vintage pop culture toys, games, books, prints, and other things that I sell online that sold this weekend. But I wanted to take a moment just to look at them once again because I do enjoy collecting these. So let's see what sold. The first couple of items are actually books, but books in a sense, they're different types of books. So I have 3 of them here, and I want to go through them because they got kind of a theme. And the theme is movies and television, sort of. Well, maybe one of them isn't, but we'll see. The first up is this great Superman movie book. So this was a promotional sort of thing. It's almost like a playbill, but it was for the movie Superman when it first came out with Christopher Reeve. Inside, it's just kind of trying to promote the whole comic side of it. They're trying to make it look like newspaper print here. It has some like confidential close-up about Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent here, and then of course him as Superman. So it has like photos and things, but they're also trying to make it like one of those People magazine specials or whatever. It's of course got Zod and the villains, which, wait a minute, that would be for Superman 2. Is this for, no, this is just a Superman book. But Zod was in, they didn't come back till Superman 2. They were sent away in Superman 1. Oh, here we go. Yes, so it is kind of, because here's Superman 3. So this is a collective of all the Superman books. I think I knew that when I got it. I just forgot, because I've had it for a few months now. I mean, I collect a lot of stuff. How much of this do you want me to remember off the top of my head? So more pictures of that. So it's a collection of the Superman movies. And it's a book about it, a picture book. So there's that. So that's movie themed, but also kind of comic book themed. So with the comic book theme, the next one was a collection of Mad comics that were put together into a book, which is something that Mad did quite often. During the 70s and 80s, collected issues of paperback books, which were known as like pocket paperbacks, because they were this size, you could take them with you. They weren't regular book size, and they were things you could like shove into your pocket. A lot of the newspaper comics did this. I have a bunch of Dennis the Menace ones, or High and Lois, or Beetle Bailey, or Peanuts even had books like this. They would reformat them to fit this instead of the, longer version that they had in the newspapers and other magazines and stuff. So this one here, what they even did is they didn't reformat it and they printed it sideways. So some of them are sideways because they wanted to keep the panels that way. And then some of them would just be recreations of what was in the magazine itself because it would have mostly text and they'd be able to do it this way. And on the back, Mad would put these out all the time and each one of them would have themes. So it wasn't just a collection of Mad magazine like the way the Peanuts and stuff would be put out. It would be just, here's a year of the comics. This was, they would do a theme and feature specific artists or specific comics itself or the whole thing. Like this one is Brothers Mad, which I don't know what the theme of it is. I'm sure it says it on the back because that's what you do with a paperback. But this one was Brothers Mad, and that one's comic themed. A little bit more pop culture. So we went from Superman based on comics to this comic to kind of a comic rendering / television thing. And this was also school related. So there was a zine that was put out for, I want to say maybe 3 years. And it was for schools. And what it was is Xerox used to do a magazine, which is kind of brilliant because what they would do is they would Xerox it on cheaper paper or maybe paper that they had left over from other things they did, but they would Xerox this stuff to kind of show off their printing abilities, the fact that they could do it, and they would just put together kind of like a weekly sort of magazine with pop culture things and other sort of topics. And they would sell them in schools or at the book fairs that they would have at schools, things like that. And this one you could get a subscription for, and it was called Read or Read, depending on which way you want to read it or read it. And this one sold because on the cover is a story of the TV show MASH. And it's done in a caricature style that kind of seems reminiscent of the Mad magazine that I just pulled up. So all of these kind of sold around the same time. This magazine would also do things like cover stories about UFOs. I have another one back there That's about the Loch Ness Monster. And that was the cover story. And so they would have little stories in between about different subjects. But then here is one about MASH, and they talk about radar with a picture of them, and then feature how they kind of do things on the set and things that happen. So while the cover has a caricature of them, the inside article is actually more about them. And this, I always thought it was really cool that Xerox put out this type of thing. And I found a whole stack of them. So there's more to come on these, hopefully, in the future. And the next thing that I have is a grouping of things that I like to call prints. Not prints like, oh, but what I mean is prints like printed. That's what I was talking about. So these are a couple of prints that sold, and one of them is from a whole package that I found at an estate sale of artwork for schools. So from the 1960s, there were just things where, you had bulletin board. Well, they still have bulletin boards in schools today, but this one is more from like the 50s or 60s. And the whole package is filled with different themes of like holidays or times of year, like autumn and Christmas and spring and rainy days. And they're all illustrations like this. And what teachers would do is they'd get a whole package of them and be able to go, oh, here, like this, it's Halloween and I'm making pumpkin pie for some reason, which is what you do in Thanksgiving, but there's a jack-o'-lantern. And I've had a bunch of these sell because this artwork, there's just no duplicating it. There's no recreating that style of artwork. You can try, but this is the authentic deal. So yeah, it's just a drawing. I don't know who the artist is. It's just a collection of drawings. And one of them that sold today is this pumpkin one with a mom baking a pumpkin pie and then the evil looking jack-o'-lantern staring at the children. And along with those, I consider these prints because truthfully, I know some people do buy them for the actual sheet music to actually play it, but I feel a lot of other people like me would put this in a frame and hang it on a wall, because the covers of this sheet music here, which is what it is, I guess I should have said that first, is for My Funny Valentine. And on the cover, there's this whole just really cool two-tone sort of artwork that goes with it. What I would do is put this in a frame and hang it on a wall. But maybe somebody really just does like playing the sheet music and wanted to have the original sheet music. So I consider this a print because of that. But I guess it would really be music. I can't ship it as media mail. But anyway, so this sold, and even on the back, it's got kind of a neat little collection of the other sort of things you could buy. And that's just some of the things that I sold from my vintage collection today.